Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. With over 1,000 NCAA commitments, the EHL is the proven path to college. Turn it up and learn more about the college placement leader at the Division II and III levels.
Welcome into the E-Show. My name is Neil Ravin. This is Season 1, Episode number 5, brought to you by Gel Sticks, the official training aid of the E-Show. I want to welcome in this week's guests, the Philadelphia Little Flyers. It's the head coach and GM, Mark Catron, and team captain, Jacob Berg.
Thanks for having us, Neil.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate to be on this.
And Mark, we'll jump right into it. Last season, you guys won 40 games in the regular season. And that's a league record. It was probably goes without saying to come into this year and expect to win 40 again would be unrealistic. You've won 21 so far. Is this kind of where you thought you'd be at this point in the season?
Yeah, I thought we would be. We turned over our roster with more than half of our team going to college. So we knew it would be, especially the beginning, would be a little tougher because we had to rebuild basically our whole decor, our goaltending, and, we lost a lot of scoring. So I kind of thought we may have a slow start, and then hopefully we would pick it up mid-season, towards playoffs.
And then, Jacob, as a captain on the team and as a player, you actually began the season with a little taste in the NA, and then you came back to the Little Flyers. From a player's perspective, is this kind of where you thought this group would be?
Yeah, just coming back from the NA, it was definitely a little bit weird stepping into the locker room after the boys had already been together for a few months and everything. But, just part of it from last year and everything, it was such a tight-knit group, and then because we were winning so much and then struggling through the first part of the season as we started to get closer and everything, it made it kind of tough for that first half of the season. But, just as everyone got closer, things started running more smoothly. And, look at us now. We're on a 9-1 in our last 10, and things are starting to look up right now. So I think it's just the biggest thing is everyone's getting together and starting to feel good about each other more.
Well, you took that right out of my notes there. I was going to say to you next, before the team went to the holiday break, did you give them some message as a captain, get your rest over the break? Because since you've returned, you dropped the first one, then you've won 7 straight. It's been a totally different team.
Yeah, it wasn't much of I wasn't saying too much of a message or anything like that. But, the break came at a good time. We had guys that just started getting really sick and everything. I actually came over the flu just around that same time too. So sickness was going around our room, and we just started, we needed a break really badly. And then we got back, and no one had really skated too much over break. Everyone was just trying to get healthy. And I said, hey, look, guys, we got to pull it together, and now's the time to make a run. And it felt like you were seeing a bunch of good friends come back together after the break, and just the tightness of the group and everything stuck together, and we started to push, and just things have been falling into place.
And what have you seen, Mark? As I mentioned, that first game back, it was a pretty high-scoring game with Team Maryland. You lost 9-6. You haven't even given up more than 3 goals in the game since then. So has that been the key for your team?
Yeah, I think obviously everything starts with your defensive zone, and we weren't very good that game. And I joked with Josh after the game that we were trying to set up for a game-tying field goal here at the end. But since then, it was kind of a reality set in that if we don't kind of get it together, it's, we're going to find ourselves at the bottom, looking from the outside in. And I think that was the first thing that happened. We got better in our own zone, and that kind of led to, even though it's been a lot of close games, just playing more solidly in their own end has really turned it around.
And then looking at the roster, you already touched on it a little bit with how much turnover you guys had from last year to this year, but you've also brought some kids up from the premier team. How important is having that premier team to the success of your organization?
Oh, it's been great, actually. It gives them, honestly, a reason when they come in that premier room to keep working hard and keep working on their game, because we've called a lot up even for single games, but the guys that we moved from last year, the Marvels and the Turners, have really done a great job in the EHL this year. But it's such a big step for them. So we kind of give a taste for the younger guys. That P team is very young, so we give them a taste here and there with some games up. And they're really kind of looking forward to trying to make the team next year. And I like what we're doing here with the ladders of get them in this room first, kind of get them in the system and then give them a little taste and then, have them shoot for the team next year.
And I keep saying this from a captain's perspective, Jacob, but from your perspective, how do the two teams kind of coincide with each other? How do they support each other? And what do you tell those players when they come up, even if it's just for one game?
Oh, I mean, it's great. I love having those guys. When we're in the same building, their locker rooms, 500 feet from ours. So it's great having them around. And, I mean, they're on the bus with us for a lot of these trips and everything. And I've actually had talks with their captain, Hedman, and he asks me stuff all the time. And it's just great being able to – I mean, I wouldn't call myself the wisest person or anything, but it's nice to be able to just talk to someone, and it feels almost like having a little brother around, and which is pretty great. And then, I mean, it's just good to have them come into the room and add a little bit of competition. I mean, one of the biggest things about junior hockey and moving forward is always having to fight for your spot in that lineup. And these young guys, they want to get in, they want to play games, and it keeps our guys on our toes. So it's great to have that competition around.
And then shifting gears to a topic about recruiting, we'll start with you, Mark. This is your second full year as the full-time EHL coach. Of course, you have a role with the EHLP team as well. But having a full off season where it was just you recruiting, what challenges did you encounter? And, how does the success of the league help you recruiting as well?
Well, it's excuse me, it's recruiting for Tier 3 has its own challenges. Just with the pay-to-play situation. So, the more success you've had in the past with college placements and even just winning games makes it a little bit easier, but it's still a challenge to make sure that you can get enough offense, enough defense, and the right goaltending without kids going to try other leagues and waiting for cut downs and things like that. So it's always a challenge with that, Neil, but we have a pretty good situation here with the way we coexist in a rink with a P program, so that gives us a chance to bring some guys up. We have a lot of AAA in our area, so it gives us a little bit of connection to that. But then, we're, like we've seen each other at places in Boston and Colorado and places like that where you're just trying to find individuals one by one. But, I think the success of the league as a whole of putting guys in NCAA hockey is our biggest asset in recruiting, to be honest.
And you just touched on seeing guys in Massachusetts and Colorado, but what about Texas? How has this Dallas to Little Flyers connection become a thing? Because it's not just Jake Berg, it's Alex Ochterbeck. The list goes on and on over the past few years.
Yeah, we have we've got Berg, we've got McVay, we've had kids in the past all from the Dallas area. And honestly, with that, Neil, comes connection to other kids. They have friends that still playing back there, or they were a year behind them, and they're looking to try to get into higher level junior hockey. And those guys are some of our best recruiters, because they tell them about the situation here and the success of our teams in the past, but more so the success of putting guys into college hockey. And I think right now, all of our 20-year-olds are either going to be committing soon or have gone to college visits. So as a coach, it makes me feel good that we can continue pushing those guys into college hockey. I'm sure all the coaches feel the same way in our league, but it's been it's a nice path to have the guys become kind of recruiters with you.
Yeah. And then Jacob, as I just started to say there, you're from Texas. When did you first learn about the Philadelphia Little Flyers, and what really attracted you to come to Aston, Pennsylvania?
So I was just working out of the summer one day, and my season had just finished up with the Dallas Stars Elite program, and I got a text from Alex Ochterbeck, and he said, "Hey, look, I got someone's number. His name's Mark Catron, and I got George Lewis's number here. I played for the Little Flyers last year and everything." He told me about how well their season went, how he was a captain and everything. And I was a little bit I was hesitant at first, to say the least. I mean, my goal had been to play Tier 2 hockey my whole life and everything. And obviously, there's different challenges with that and everything. But I said, "Hey, look, I mean, you need a backup plan no matter what, and this is the best place to be." And so I checked it out and everything. I actually remember texting Mark that day, too, and I called up George Lewis because George did a lot of that recruiting that year, too. And, they sold me on the place. And the other big thing is Amarillo's main camp for their NA team is always at this rink, too. So George and Rocky were both here, and they gave me a tour of the locker room, and they kind of sold me on this place as like an area where I'd want to be. And I mean, it was huge for me. Plus the list of guys from Texas that have been here, like Cameron Bartowski, you got Alex Ochterbeck, Brendan Coughlin, Avery Smith. You just got a lot of guys from Texas that have been there, had great experiences. No one said a bad thing about this place, and I can't wait to start telling more Texas guys about this. I got a little brother who's going to be making up the ranks here soon, so.
and not
so
to
hopefully he'll be a little flyer.
Yeah, for sure. And not to, give too much away on the podcast, but, from Texas to Aston, where do you want to go next?
I mean, the goal is college here, obviously. I got a couple places I'm looking at and everything. It's just the biggest thing for me and for hockey for me has been let hockey be a kind of a start to be able to get into somewhere where I normally wouldn't be able to get into. I don't have bad grades or anything, but it's just hockey is a great area where if I can use this skill to hone in on other skills for real life, then that'd be great. And that's just kind of been the biggest part for me. So there's a few schools on my radar here and there, but I haven't quite made my decision yet.
And I'm sure you'd love to get that weight off of your shoulders, but you still have plenty of time left. You guys, as a team, still have 9 games remaining in the regular season. Mark, are there any matchups that you've kind of circled on the calendar down the stretch here, or is it kind of just one game at a time until you get to the finish?
Well, we have to do one game at a time here. We have a challenging 2 weeks coming up, starting with the Junior Flyers on Thursday, and then we're in Connecticut for the weekend for 2 games. So those are 3 big games for us, because we're chasing Connecticut, we're chasing the Rev, and we still have 5 left between those 2 out of our 9. So, for us, you got to take it one at a time, because if you drop 2 points somewhere, you're now relooking at your situation. But, with all the teams being so much parity this year, with the exception of, the Rangers are having a great year and the 87s are having a great year, there's a lot of parity between the teams. So it's not so much, where you would end up, although you love to get home ice advantage on one of these rounds. But if you can find your way into the top 2, which I'm sure every coach is trying to do, you can survive with a bye on that first round and let the other teams kind of battle each other out.
And you just named the 2 first place teams right now, but you have a win over each of those teams. And Jacob, looking back, I don't want to touch on it too much. I'm sure it's still kind of a sore subject in the locker room, but is there a motivational factor that carries over still from this past March for your team?
You know what? I mean, there's the things like you want to win and make it back to the championship, but it's such a new group of guys in our room that a lot of them haven't been there before. So it's on us older guys to try and show them, hey, look, we didn't quite cut it last year, and we got to learn from our mistakes. But, I mean, as far as, like, a grudge or anything, no, I mean, it definitely felt good to beat the 87 finally. We didn't do it last year, but, I mean, that's about it.
Well, that's actually a pretty funny point to make there, because you guys won 40 games, but the one team you couldn't beat in the regular season was the 87s. I don't want to put you too much on the spot right now, but right now you guys are the current 4 seed. Mark, you kind of just touched on, being the 1 or 2 gets you a first-round bye. Is there a team you want to face in the playoffs? Is there a team you don't want to face in the playoffs? Is this a question you don't want to answer either?
Yeah, I don't think you want to start looking at who you're going to see in the playoffs, because, you could lose to every one of the top 6, the other 5 of the top 6. We've either beaten this year or lost to this year. So, yeah, I don't think there's a real you say, hey, I'd rather play this team than this team, because, it's one of those, you regret what you wish for kind of thing, But I think all those teams are ones that can trip you up at any time, because they all have talented players. They all have talented goaltenders. And, in such a short series, you can get overlooked and get tripped up real quick.
Well, there you have it, folks. They are the Philadelphia Little Flyers, a team to watch really at both levels, EHL and EHLP. EHL kind of playing a different role this year, a little bit under the radar, kind of an underdog, if you will, but 9-1-0 in their last 10 games. They've won 7 straight as well, And as Mark mentioned, they have the Junior Flyers this week and then 2 games up in Connecticut. So good luck this weekend, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you again to the Little Flyers for jumping on the pod this week, Mark Catron and Jacob Berg. And with that, we'll start making our way around the E-Show.
It's time for this week's segment of Around the E-Show.
And welcome in my E-Crew, Brittany and Jeff. Another week down, we have crossed into, or are about to cross into, the month of February, the final month of the regular season. It's crazy right now. There's nothing really totally set in terms of playoff seeds, and the next month will determine all that.
I'm very excited. The next month is going to be a wild one. There's lots of good matchups left in the season, although there is not a good deal of time.
Yes, and good evening to you guys. There's a lot of good action. I just like to say hello. It's all for them. Not calling you out, Britt. Not calling you out. But it's we're gonna have a lot of sleepless nights. I think all three of us are gonna be burning the midnight oil, watching all these different standings changes, and it's what you want as a broadcaster and as a fan of the league. I'm sure a lot of the coaches and players are pulling their hair out with how tight the standings are in the New England and the Mid-Atlantic. But best thing you could ask for as far as a fan and for us broadcasters, Neil.
There are a number of teams that have officially clinched a playoff spot so far. But the final seedings are what's really left to be determined. The only conference where it's set is the Mid-Atlantic EHLP. We know the 4 of the 5 teams that will be advancing to the playoffs. We just don't know who will play who. And, this past weekend, the big matchup that we all talked about was the Rangers Lumberjacks. And, of course, it was a dead even split.
As predicted.
I was going to say, me and Brittany predicted it. Neil, you didn't predict it, right? Because you were on the call, myself.
Yes, I left myself absent from the predictions for that one.
Smart
Except
man.
I predicted it reverse. I predicted Vermont would game 1 and BJR would take 2. But, in fact, it was the opposite.
I didn't even predict a game 1 or game 2. I just said series split. So, and thank you to Raduzzi and Descanio. I know we'll talk about fantasy a little later, but those 2 came up big. And Neil, you were telling me the other day that this fantasy thing is getting pretty big. It's starting. It's like the power rankings were when we burnt those a couple of years back.
I mean, we post the picks, and then immediately Rich posts a GIF of someone rolling eyes at us because
we have all Lumberjacks.
Because no Rangers were picked. And it's like, okay.
Hey, that will change this week, Richie boy.
Yep.
Well, that's a good tease. Good job.
Good tease.
It keeps people locked into the podcast from the next half hour.
Lock it
done.
in. Lock it in, ladies.
But, Logan had a point in the first game, second period, to officially break the record. Absolutely no smile in the congratulations picture. Like, no smile.
He was angry.
All business.
They lost.
All business.
Lost.
But you gotta love that though, Neil, right? I mean, that just shows you. We had Jim Lasso and Descanio and Raduzzi on last week. That just shows you they're just keeping it going. They have their eyes on Providence. They're not looking at the regular season victories and losses. They're just trying to keep on chugging along. And Coach DiCaprio's, Rich said that to us too. They're both kind of echoing the same sentiment. They're both just trying to be business as usual and try to just keep getting wins. So kind of a good thing to see that out of Logan. I kind of like that, honestly.
And between the 3 of us, we've really all had at least one of them, and maybe the Seahawks in Providence, the team that we haven't had, or any of us have ever said it, has won back-to-back titles and has scored 24 goals in 3 total games. 24 goals.
Yeah, the Avalanche went off this weekend.
I literally
starting to roll.
I literally texted Brittany. I was like, the goal song is good, but like I'm getting really sick of it now.
Okay. We have heard it many times over the past 3 games, but it is way better than El Chapo, what it used to be.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. That was what their old one was. What's their one this year? I actually haven't done any games.
I mean, I could play it, but I don't know if we want to play it.
No, we'll not.
You can play it for me after, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you, Tim Cronin, who I think made the new one, our forward of the week.
Yes.
You don't like Rico? You didn't like Rico by Drake? That was a good one, Britt, last year.
Wow, who used that?
Wasn't that what the Avs used last year? Wasn't it Rico?
No, it was El Chapo still.
Oh, the El Chapo. Oh, yeah, El Chapo. Yeah, great one.
It was just 24 goals in 3 games, and in the words of the wise Chris Sorella, we are under the radar. Okay, Chris. Whatever you have to tell yourself. They're inside the top 5 again.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
They're inside the top 5 for the first time in a while.
Yep.
So is Walpole. Cody was not pleased with that. Like Cody immediately said this is too much attention.
Coach Campbell.
Then we gave Star of the Week honors to both of his goalies, EHL and EHLP. And then he said, now we're talking about way too much attention.
Hey, well, don't go 4-1 out of the break. You know, they're starting to.
But then he's in a battle with Worcester in a shootout, and some people legit think that I cursed them with the power rankings.
Yes,
I mean, Neil does not sit there at night with a voodoo doll that has different jerseys on it. Oh, tonight we're gonna put the Express jersey on and pin here, pin there. No, he doesn't do that. I can attest to that.
Can we do that? I'm kidding.
But we slid the Avalanche and the Express in. We didn't make any changes. EHLP Wolves didn't play, so they stay at 1. Rangers, speaking of offense, it's out of this world what the Premier team is doing. They're at like 6.5 goals per game in 2020.
And that was actually something I didn't get to talk about last week, Neil, was as we talked about last week, we talked about that last EHLP showcase. I had that first game, that they scored 9 goals, and their offense is ridiculous. Malinjrukalo and all those guys, the way they move the puck is like, they look like the Red Wings from the 80s. They're just like, zing, zang, shoot, score. Like, you have no chance.
And they're all 0-1s, they're all 0-1s or 0-2s too.
Yeah, I think we also say Ryan Bailey is also not just Johnny Boy.
Yeah, Bailey had a hat trick, I believe, in that game. That was his
Ryan Bailey scored 6 goals, I think, in this weekend. So single-handedly.
6 goals,
they
6 assists.
And actually, Rich was texting me during that too, Neil, and I was like, Rich, this is the first time I've seen your P team, man. Wow. I was like, so you guys are going to be good next year? He goes, yep, we got this coming next year. We got these guys coming back. I was like,
oh, wait, he didn't go
good up there.
He didn't go, yep.
Yeah, Malinjrukalo was pretty good. Nope, no, he didn't.
Well, what's funny is he said to me, he goes, we don't really know who our number 1 goalie is yet. But if we.
For next year.
No. The EHLP team right now.
Oh.
He's saying, like, we don't know who that is, but if we score 6 goals a game, we're good.
Don't matter.
Like,
I can put one of us in net. If you can score 6 goals a game, put me with pads on. I'll stop a couple bucks.
The Railers and Avalanche split their home-and-home series. I love how it's always the road team that wins each game in that situation. A little bit different. Little Flyers, big 5-4 overtime victory over the 87s, who are playing.
That's a big one.
Yeah, they're playing the Revolution this weekend. Revolution have kind of retooled that Premier team a little bit. So while I said before, we know the 4 teams in that conference who are making the playoffs. Brisbane will not be making the playoffs this year. It's just who's who? Who's going to be 1? Who's going to be 2? And what's going to be really interesting is to see. So just to highlight on the Premier some more, like when we go to Providence, 2 teams make it for each conference. And the top North plays the top South and vice versa. Are we going to have a North-North final? We could have a South-South final. It's what's funny is, like,
controversy.
We've all been like Little Flyers 87s. Like, that's who we've said for the EHLP South. We haven't really said much about the Revolution. They could pull the upset, but how do you pick 2 out of the 4 in the North right now? I don't know.
You don't.
You just stay out of it.
You'd have to say the Rangers are playing the best to anyone else. They are.
How about the Wolves? How about the Wolves, Neil? 9-1, 9 in a row.
The Rangers are in first.
They just have the most explosive offense.
Yeah,
true. The Wolves have 185 goals for, 20 more than the Rangers at this point in time.
Well, a couple more games played.
2. Sorry. Nope. Wrong. 5. Yep, you're right. And averaging the 6 goal a game per clip. So 5.
We'll pass,
30 goals. They'll pass them. Yep,
you know when Rich is listening to this, he's gonna text. He's gonna text as you're making
one of us. Yep.
Hey, Jeff, what did you just say? Jeff, you're wrong. Oh no, you corrected yourself. Oh, okay, move on.
Oh God, I love Rich. He was texting me during one of my broadcasts. I think it was that EHLP game. He was texting me stuff. And I was like, wow. I was like, and then he was texting me during one of the other games. I was like, Rich, go enjoy your beautiful wife and your family. Like, you don't have to be here today. What are you doing, man?
Well, here's what you should say back to him is, hey, Rich, I have an extra clipboard in my attic. Do you need anything?
Rich was in case you missed
fight.
it, ladies and gents.
Was that after,
a little
the
mad.
Chiefs win?
After a win.
Yeah.
After a 4-3 win. And he snapped
but
his clipboard like it said something to him.
Yes.
Yeah, the margin could have been a little wider in Rich's mind.
I was gonna make it the Gel Sticks top play of the week, but but John Gabriel, which I'll be posting later on this week, scored 3 goals in 1 shootout, and they were all pretty nasty for the junior Flyers. So
Jerry's World,
who's playing the Little Flyers tomorrow. I'm not going to segue too far yet because we're going to talk about that later, but it's the 6th matchup of the season between those two teams in the EHL. Every single one of the games so far decided by 1 goal. It's wild. Yeah. So the parity this year is just extra special in both levels. There aren't that many big matchups to watch this weekend. Nothing like Rangers Lumberjacks, who play again next weekend. I know
in Vermont.
I know Brittany's trying to call out sick of whatever else she's doing to make the trip up there.
Me? No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Show us up with like 3 coats on, 2 hoods, and 2 knit hats. And, who's that?
I'll dye my hair purple for the weekend.
Purple. Is that the boat? Is that the best of all time? Brittany's new nickname that was coined this week in our group chat.
But it's all a great transition into what to watch for this week in the E-Show.
Before we wrap things up, here's what to watch for this week in the E-Show.
And what to watch for this week, it's really, as I mentioned before, we're turning over to the month of February. I always kind of jokingly say that the playoff races, like they're heating up right now, but they really hit another level after the Super Bowl. Not that too many of our guys are paying that close attention to football, but but come Monday, the battle for points is going to be pretty intense. I don't know where these teams will fall, especially in the North in the EHL.
Oh goodness.
The
all over the place.
The team that I know is frustrated right now is the Seahawks. And talking with head coach Bill Zanaboni, he pointed out, we haven't controlled the business that was in front of us, and they've given up some points to teams that they didn't want to, and then they have the most games played. So now it's it's tough because you're sitting there like, I can't do anything. I'm here. I want points, but I can't play games right now.
Right. They're kind of stuck, and they lost John Murphy, so that's tough. Great kid. Feel bad for him.
One of the toughest kids in the EHL. I'm not sure if you've got to know him at all, Jeff, but
no,
he fractured his collarbone, and this kid will block a shot with his face, if he had to. He legit
Adam McQuaid style.
Yeah, he would. And when he was yelling out in pain,
it was scary.
I had to take my headset off. I was but the next day he committed, so I guess there's a little bit of positive to it. But
silver lining.
Still a little bit, but hey.
I mean, it's those kind of things that get the colleges to notice you, right, Neil? And that's the kind of thing when you give out your body at any – and actually I know Jim McCabe has mentioned Murphy a lot. I know Jim obviously calls all the Seahawks home games, and he's definitely mentioned them. I haven't gotten to see them a lot, and actually Jim calls their games during the showcase too, so I haven't called the Seahawks game yet this season.
Well, I'll have to find the Twitter interview for you. Jim
with the mask on
interviewing John.
Oh god.
With this Seahawks mask on, but it was really tight.
It looked like a wrestler mask from whatever that show was. I don't even know.
I can't wait till we have the broadcasters. Or actually, we won't spoil anything. But that's spoiling. But
we'll have a broadcasters one. We'll go over with Jim all of his tremendous calls from the year.
The Randy Moeller style goal calls. Not my chair, not my problem.
Yeah. Okay, Jim, not your chair, not your problem. Got it.
I told him, I said, Jim, that fits your style so well. Keep doing it, and I just can never replicate that. It fits. We all know him. It fits his personality very well, and I can't wait to show the rest of the E-Show family Jim in the future when we do our broadcast show. He's awesome.
What's interesting this week is you got teams like the Rangers and Avalanche who have games coming up against teams like the Warriors and Seacoast who are either at the bottom of the playoff picture or just outside. And in talking with all the coaches, like, you can't look ahead to, if you're the Rangers, like next weekend, you already want to get on the bus. You want to go to Vermont. You want to play those 2 games. But you can't look past these games against the Warriors and Spartans because heaven forbid you give up any of the 4 points that you want. Now, all of a sudden, those teams in your rearview mirror are just even closer behind you.
And ask Steve Brown and Eric Lynn that. The Rough Riders, they've been having issues with the Apple Corps. The Apple Corps is a team that's down there in the Mid-Atlantic Conference, not making a whole lot of noise, but they've got the Connecticut Rough Riders number right now, and they're stealing points from them. So maybe
I don't want to talk about that.
She doesn't want to talk about that.
Andrew Bella.
No, it's a beautiful transition into our fantasy. Because on Saturday night, was that the first game?
The Avalanche first game?
No, the Apple Corps versus Rough Riders. Yes.
Which was also the same day, but yeah.
Yes. We're watching overtime, Jeff, at my house.
Oh, boy.
There's a breakaway for Gray Owens, and I celebrate.
Who Neil had, FYI.
Dude, Gray Owens lit it up this week.
And I celebrate like I won the Stanley Cup.
Neil was going bonkers.
and Vicky, my fiance, is like, you gotta chill.
You gotta tone it down. Nope. That's what this
legit. I couldn't love Gray Owens, great kid, but like Gray, come on, brother.
Dude, I didn't get to see any of those games because I was working, but I literally shout out to Justin Squitieri for this awesome spreadsheet that he set up for us. For the people that don't know it at home, he's a great IT guy and brains the operation there for the Walpole Express. When I looked at your spreadsheet points, I was like, wait a minute, Gray Owens had 2 goals, an assist, 2 power play points, and a game-winning goal, and he's a defenseman, ladies and gentlemen. He's a defenseman that has great offensive abilities. I was like, how the hell did he get 11 points for Neil? And that's what separated us.
I had Maynard first, a goal and 2 assists, plus a game winner. Plus, I found out that he missed a wide-open net. Andrew and I will talk about that on a different page.
As in Moose.
Moose.
Yeah, okay.
He got me 8 points. Gray Owens, Jeff just mentioned. I don't need to rip through it again to dig in any harder. That's solid 11 points for me. Matt Lane picked up 2 wins, where I have to have a side conversation with Chris is in the game against the Chiefs on Saturday night. After making 17 saves, Chris wanted to give George McMichael some time and brought him in, and there went my shutout. So it's okay. It's okay. Dave. Not bitter. Matt wasn't bitter either. Matt only just texted up to me to put him back in the game, and I couldn't stop my broadcast to go do that, but that's fine.
You know what? I would like to thank Jake Mendezoon for giving me the point. He was really strong for me. Zooner, thank you.
4 assists for Zooner. 2 power play points, too.
Right. You should have seen it every time.
Wait, you had 4 power play points. You had the most power play points of all of them.
In case anyone does not know, I am the scorer for the Avalanche. So every time that the ref, like Too Good, would come over and tell me, I'm like, can we add 20? Let's add 20. Come on. Number 20 had every assist. What are you talking about?
Flips him a 20 and then adds 20. Yeah. Is that how it worked?
Oh.
Yes.
And she still ends up last.
I still end up I'm bitter. You know what? Once you people hear my team this week, I'm going to definitely win. It's not even a question.
As she mentioned, Mendezoon with 13 points for her. Bella, similar line to Gray Owens, a goal and 2 assists, 2 power play points. 9
Hadley, though.
9 fantasy points. Hadley didn't have his best game in a 4-1 loss to the Wizards. So that's really the difference, though. It's like, say he even makes the same amount of saves, same goals against, but gets the win, it flips everything with those 4 points for the win. Now she's at 27. Yep. Brittany's at 23.
Ugh,
I'm at 31.8. Jeff, for you, well, Cade Hanley wasn't your star.
I wanted Rob Hake, but he was injured, and we don't have access to an injury report yet. Maybe in the future, maybe in 2020, 21, we'll get ourselves a little injury report.
Hey, he didn't play either today, if that makes you feel better.
No, and he came up to me.
Miss you, Rob. Get better, buddy.
He was like, Trimble's tweet was hysterical.
I know. And then I woke up and I was like, what? He was like, Jeff, great pick, but he's not playing. I was like,
Andrew has a great social media presence. Some of it is thanks to me, not a big deal. Anyways, continue.
So what we came up with, Justin and I, is as soon as the first game, which would be Thursday now for this week coming up at 11:30, as soon as that starts, the picks are locked in.
Locked in.
If before that we find out that he's on a college visit, he's home with his family, he's injured, some reason that they're not in the game, we'll be allowed to pick again as long as it's submitted by that deadline.
Which, Neil, question, not all the coaches are as up to date with social media and stuff like Andrew are. So if we do run into an issue like this down the road where we have someone, we won't name any names, but there's some people that just aren't as big on social media. What the heck are we going to do? This is going to...
If you go on the Scouts page on the league website, every coach's phone number is posted there.
Yes.
We're just going to start texting.
What we'll say is,
hey, Jerry.
We'll put a $5 appeal process in play, and it'll go to Justin.
Well, okay.
He'll deserve
what?
He'll deserve like $5 bill down to Justin in Florida.
That's only if we get to this weekend and one of the guys that you picked ends up going on a college visit last minute, and now you're like, well, I didn't predict that.
Okay. I don't even remember who Jeff picked. Enough.
I can tell you if you'd like. I had Logan Descanio.
No, I mean this week.
His record-breaking assist, unfortunately, only counts as 2 points. But maybe we could add in milestone points at some point.
Well,
5 points
relax.
3 goals, 2 assists. That was a nice.
The big one that really, really stood out for me with your points is Raduzzi. So he dropped game 1, but came back in game 2, actually left game 2 with an undisclosed injury.
Oh, God, I didn't even know that.
And I don't even know what happened. 6 minutes later, he said, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I was actually going to text you because I looked in the box score. I was like, I looked at that and I saw the backup played 6 minutes and I was like, what the?
Yeah. And I reached out to Cam Broster, the scorekeeper for our finals and for the Rangers throughout the year. And Cam's like, no, he came
back. Cam.
He came back in. So
tough kid.
That's huge because 70. You gave up 7 goals,
77 saves,
77 saves. But that's kind of the tough part in all this, right? It's a high risk, high reward because you're going up against a top 5 team. So while you know that you can get that bonus point for beating a top 5 team, you also know the shots are coming.
Yes, I did, Neil. I did my research. I did my research, my friend. I did my prep.
So no new rules. Everything's set now. The rule that we put in place in the beginning is whoever is in third place.
Yeah, not last. I am never last. I don't know what the word last means. I don't believe in that word.
Go ahead, Boat.
You go first.
Okay.
Now let's make it clear. The games are from Thursday the 30th through Wednesday, February 5th. 7 days.
Okay, tomorrow. Okay.
So from podcast to podcast.
Yep.
From the dropping of episode 5 to the release of episode 6. Correct.
Okay. So my picks, Rich DiCaprio, I better receive a text message.
Me too.
So BJR, they play. Oh, Jeff, I just remembered something.
Oh, no.
Anyways.
Dude, don't even. Do I already have to make a change?
They're already locked. No, they're locked in. The picks are locked. Anyways. I might have just.
Brittany, make your picks.
Okay, anyways. Yeah, so my forward is Biz, a.k.a. number 91, Connor Bazal. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Is it?
Bazal, yeah. That's all
I just call him Biz, but whatever. So Biz is my forward. My defenseman is our former podcast guest, Mitchell Haight. And then I'm stealing Jeff's goalie from last week in Doozy.
Do it. He's great.
They played the Wolves this weekend, which throwback Thursday, I guess this is being released on a Thursday. The Wolves swept Vermont. But sorry, Wolfbite and company, I do not see a sweep in your future in Burlington, Vermont.
As Jimmy said, he never wins in Laconia. I don't know why.
Do they go to Weir's Beach and go to the drive-in too much? Or?
I mean,
I used to love Weir's Beach as a kid.
Rich says all the time, I never win at Hogwarts, which, as people don't know,
is the Edge Sports Center of the Wizards.
Where the Wizards play. So yes,
Hogwarts.
That's his Harry Potter reference.
It's what, you go to England and play, Rich? What?
And I know where Brittany was kind of going at with the pick locking in statement that she just started to make.
Yeah.
That player is going to play on Tuesday, Brittany.
Okay, well, Rich said he wasn't, but okay, never mind.
Are you talking
Okay,
about? Are you talking about my goalie?
Yeah, I am. Why don't you go? Oh no, you got first place. No, you didn't. You got second.
No, know the standings.
All I know is that I'm in
pretty hard, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, hi, I'm blonde now again, so
it's almost her bedtime. She's wiring down. Not enough coffee today, bro.
True. Go ahead, Jeff. Who are your picks?
All right. So let's start. I always like to start from the back end out. So as Brittany was just prefacing, I picked from the Boston Junior Rangers one Billy Gerard because Billy's the man and he's a real good goaltender. So we're going to go with Billy this weekend. And for defensemen, I actually went a little outside the box. I went with, from the Philadelphia Revolution, Tiger Bjornlund.
Oh.
Small defenseman, 5'10", 161, but he's put up some good points this season, and I like what the Revolution are doing. A little more of an active offensive type defenseman. Has 5 goals, 18 assists, 23 points. Almost a point-per-game player for Coach Roger and Coach Joe down there. 23 points in 27 games. Chips in a little bit on the power plays. Got 8 power play points, so I was looking at that as a bonus stat, and he's got a game-winning goal. So looked at that.
They have a tough game this week.
They do
play the 87s.
They do, and it's going to be tough going up against Greif and the 87s. But I don't think they're going to get blanked. So I'm hoping that Bjornlund gets me some points there. And then for my last pick, we're going with forward. I got Connor Galloway, who's another guy that we didn't get to have on the pod as a guest, but he's only played 25 games, had some injuries early in the year, but he's got 26 points in 25 games, 13 goals, 13 assists. Also chips in on Rich's power plays, got 7 power play points, 2 goals, 5 assists, and has 2 game-winning goals. And he's also done very well against Seacoast and Valley. He played them back-to-back back in the beginning of November, had 2 goals and assist against Seacoast. And then the next day he had 2 goals against Valley. So looking at those matchups, I like what I see. Same with Billy, too. Billy actually has beaten, I think he's 3-0 against the Warriors. But I did not get the insight that you did, Britt.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I may or may not have spoken with Decaps this morning.
Well, so he's possibly going to play 1 out of the 2. They're only playing 2 games. But
we don't know yet, right?
That's what I figured he might sit against Seacoast. Because he sat against Seacoast last time, so maybe he sits against Seacoast, plays against Valley, or vice versa. I don't know.
Judging by Rich's clipboard, he may play. I don't know.
Right, judging by Rich's clipboard. Well, also, Galloway has been doing really well since he got back from his injury.
Yep, exactly. So that's why I picked him. And yeah, thank you, Britt. And over to you, Neil, for your picks there, Mr. First Place.
All right,
back up to you, Doc.
So from the top. From the top, looking down on the two of you.
Yeah, whatever.
What are you, like 1 point something points ahead? Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to embrace the hell out of that.
Going first. You are. Well done, sir.
Anyways.
Quietly, the second leading scorer in the league this year, Jordan Buffaloine, has put up
good pick.
30 goals, 32 assists.
Good pick.
Power play points, 32.
Oh, big on the power play here.
I was kind of angry when I saw that pick today, Neil. I was like, damn it.
32 of the 62 on the power play, 4 game-winning goals. But, quietly, partially because Daniel is 17 points ahead of him, which is kind of just – it's kind of absurd to think of, truthfully, that he has 17 more points while playing on the same line.
Yep.
But in that sweep, when they got swept by the Wolves back in November – Buffaloine, 3 goals, 2 assists. I'll go with that. Back on the blue line, last year's defenseman of the year in the EHLP, Jack Johansson, for the Wolves last year, helped them win a championship at the Premier level last year.
Scored a goal in the championship-winning game.
I was going to say, good pick. That was another one jumped out.
And he's been playing a lot better as of late, especially here in the second half. No points against the Lumberjacks earlier this week, but
he was very disappointed. He goes, "My goal streak has been snapped." I was like,
it was a goal streak and game-winning goal streak. 2 games in a row, 2 game winners in a row.
Now, the Wizards starting to play a little better too, Neil. So that's a good pick.
It's one of those teams that
late season push.
Don't want to face in the playoffs.
No. Saw that last year. They snuck into the Frozen Finals.
When I see Jack on Friday, I'll make sure that he understands that Gray did set the bar absurdly high, so we're okay.
Right.
We're okay. We're okay.
So come on, Jack.
So, Jack, now you're a point per game defenseman, okay, buddy? And the power play, all we're seeing is the back of that net, all right?
Yeah, and
apples, we're seeing goals.
When we
Jack is a very offensive defenseman, though.
Yes,
so.
and when we get to overtime, I need you to flee the zone and go on a breakaway. It's really simple. Just go on a breakaway.
Don't listen to what Freddie said.
Right. Freddie's game plan is out the window.
Well, that's probably not Freddie's game plan, let's be honest. But,
and Neil's the de facto commission.
And then in goal, Nico Gamara. And here's the reason why. Here's the reason why.
I want to know.
They, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, 5 games so far this season against the Junior Flyers. All 5 decided by a single goal. No team has scored more than 4 goals in the game, so they've all been low scoring. A number of them have been 2-1 matchups. Junior Flyers have won 3 of those matchups. Little Flyers have won 2. The 2 they won, Gamara was in net each time.
Did you confirm with Catron if he's even playing? Like, you did speak to him this morning.
Of course I did.
Okay. Oh, Neil, I'm so sorry I offended you.
Of course I confirmed. Now, I don't know if he's playing in the Rough Riders series this upcoming weekend.
Neil, that one could be a little scary.
Well, what the Little Flyers have done, this is a good transition because they were on the podcast this week. I
can't believe you didn't have Alo on. He's definitely mad at you.
I offered. He said no.
I'll be sending him a text. Continue.
They've really used Gamara, Adrian Morales, and Thomas McLaren kind of like 1-1-1 throughout. So I don't know what I'm going to get with the Gamara pick. I know one game I have him.
One's better than none.
One's better than none.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
And you better hope he – never mind. I
don't want to wish him ill, but I hope he gives up 8
Oh, my God.
Sorry, Nick.
If Doozy lets me down, David Verduzzi, I swear to the heavens you did Jeff good if you don't do me good.
But the points add up throughout the year. So What?
Yeah.
When?
It's not a week-to-week,
it's amazing, Jeff. You write rules, you put together graphics.
I got it.
Okay, FYI, there is a group chat, and if you know me, you know that I hate group messages, and I don't read one single thing unless I see my name, which is why I answered one text in the group today, because Neil literally wrote my name out.
Yeah, apologies, Britt. I didn't know you were driving. That was funny, too. You were like, I'm driving. I was like, oh, sorry. I didn't know you're scheduled today.
And then I legit muted
Don't you know I'm driving?
Oh,
Anyways, we weren't going to just give wins and losses out. When the year is done, whoever has the most points wins.
Do we decide a prize yet?
I think we can discuss that in the group chat, and it's going to be something in Providence downstairs.
You legit just said that you don't speak in the group chat, so now you're going to speak.
Right, but if we're going to discuss prizes, we're
all over 21s, maybe, I live in Rhode Island, too, so I could have you guys.
I forgot that you don't stay.
I'm all close by, so.
So Providence.
I knew this was coming.
Any changes?
Wait, I had.
Oh, we're doing picks again.
No, I just want to know if anything's changed.
I might have to.
I'm gonna get Rich fired up. All right.
Okay, boy. That's always fun. I love.
Oh, you're gonna leave him out? You're gonna
go. I'm gonna go Lumberjacks, Avalanche, 87.
What?
Rough Riders right now.
Whoa. Okay, I'm changing mine. I am sorry, Philadelphia Revolution, but you have not been doing it for me as of
ever since when? They were number 2 in the power rankings.
Yeah, and then they lost to the Apple Corps, and then they lost to someone. Yeah, sorry, the Revolution. See you later. We won't see you in Providence.
Wow.
Sorry.
Hit him again.
Yeah. You know what? This is hard. You know what? Andrew Bella, if you let me down again, I swear. No.
I don't like the South. I don't like picking.
3 points, 2 power play points, let me down.
Okay, maybe he didn't exactly let me down. Sorry, I apologize. Can we cut that out?
No.
Okay, so I'm doing roll 7s, as they say, and I can't disclose my name for the Rough Riders on the podcast. The Rough Riders North. I don't say it, Neil. The North, BJR Avs, Rich DiCaprio, Chris Sorella. See ya, Jimmy. See ya, Neva. Oh, I'm kidding, not never.
I just don't see a scenario where Rich and the Rangers don't. I mean, oh man,
no, Rich will make
the
it.
hell out of them too. I think so. That team is very, very good. I've been lucky. I think I've called the most games for them out of any team, filling in for you and showcases Neil. I think, and
the Avs are just on a heater. They got Valakut, they got Barbagallo, Cam. sorry. That new defenseman.
And they've been there before. That's where it's hard. Like, you want to say the sexy picks, I guess, would be Rangers, Lumberjacks, but Sorella and the boys, they know what they're doing. Back-to-back EHL champs. You're a champ until you're dethroned, right? But I don't know. I can't pick them yet. I think it's the goaltending. I don't know.
No, Matt Lane's been great lately. Laner has been phenomenal.
But he's not Verduzzi and Girard. I don't know.
I think that Lane is just as good as Verduzzi.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, but the thing is, hold on.
Like an episode of Fire Takes right now.
Yeah, right?
It is. No. Lane is just as good as Verduzzi. The Avalanche are starting to find more scoring as of late. They were a little quiet. They have been quiet, but recently they've been figuring it out. Goal songs. Goal songs are plenty. The goal song has been stuck in my head for approximately.
Now I need to listen to it. What is it?
I'm going to send you it.
All right, good. Yeah, send it to the group chat. Fire that baby up.
So, yeah, BJR, NHA.
I'm saying BJR, VTL. I guess we're doing all abbreviations now. In Mid-Atlantic, 87s. I think I had 87s.
You can't not pick the 87s.
No, yeah. I'd say Jersey's a definite. And then that second team, I don't know. Could it be Connecticut? Could be the Revolution? Could it
maybe Maryland just comes out the cut. Maybe the Little Flyers.
Maybe the Little Flyers. They've been there.
Maybe too. Jerry's World shows up. Who knows?
Who knows?
He said maybe I'll see you in Providence.
He did say that. Yeah. At the January showcase.
I mean, they won the whole thing just a few years ago. So they've been there too. And that's the thing. You get all these battle-tested teams that have been there before. And, I mean, another team we don't really talk about a ton. We've had them on here. But what about the Wolves in the New England Conference? And
honestly, Walpole
too. Exactly. I picked them, and now
Walpole has beat every top team that has been in the power rankings except the 87s, which kind of isn't fair because they only play them once. So I don't think that's like a fair assessment.
And then that's another team I haven't called a ton of games for. I think maybe one or two this year, but I liked what I saw when we all like Cody a lot. He's taken over for John Lonsbury, and Lonzy was there for a long time and had some very good teams, and Mark Kumpel before that, so he's stepping into some big,
Chris
shoes on the bench
was also in Walpole.
And Coach Sorella, lots of guys. McGrath was there for a little while at one point.
Rob Barletta. Want to hire me too as head coach or what?
Brittany's still swinging. Here she goes.
Interim. I don't know. Sorry.
Head coach.
Interim head coach. Here I come. No, but when Falkenstead is on, he's on. So I think when he is on point for Walpole, they're a little difficult to beat. And I like Noah Kemal. Right? Is it Noah? Yeah, I think so. Noah Kemal as the big defenseman.
They're another team too, though. Goal scoring, I think that's their issue.
They need to.
Tough time getting goals.
I think I need to talk to Cody about trading for a few forwards that I can think of, but that's a different story.
Oh, and speaking of trading, I saw that Coach McGrath sent Taylor Corey to the Revolution the other day after standing pat and saying I wasn't going to make any trades. He sends him off to Philly.
It was a bluff.
It was a bluff. And then Dean Ostrovsky went from, where'd he go? He went from 87s to Revolution. No, he wasn't on. Yeah, right. Hold on.
Revolution to Junior Flyers.
Right. Hi, do I know what I'm talking about? Well, yeah, I don't know.
The roster freeze is February 10th. So
things will be interesting.
There's a number of moves that are going to happen with players that are on teams that are outside the playoff picture that will get moved here. The teams that are, inside the playoff picture. A George Vanakis and Austin Finch.
I like Trevor too. I keep calling Tucker Trevor. Tucker Twardorsky too.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say Twardorsky.
Corshane. That whole first line for Worcester.
There's a very quiet name that I've heard a little bit about, Jack Studley, an EHL All-Star. So there's a few names to watch here.
Ryland Dukes, maybe.
Yeah, in the upcoming week or
Dukes
so.
has had a few big games recently.
Yeah, there's a lot of names to watch. while there aren't that many premier matchups, I guess you could say, coming up this week, it's every point's still critical.
It's about 10 games or so left for most teams.
Every point's critical in the EHL standings and in the fantasy standings.
Yep.
And in the I'm going to have the biggest week ever. Let's go, BJR.
Me too. We're both for BJR, Brett.
Yeah, BJR. BJR till the death. I have a BJR backpack and a sticker on my phone. So
put your foam fingers away.
Sorry.
We're number one.
Woo. Team Rich, yeah.
Well, thank you guys for your time. I have no idea who's going to be on the podcast next week. We're going to have the Rough Riders, but I need to thank the Little Flyers for coming in last minute. Rough Riders had something come up, so they couldn't come on. So we'll figure that out, and we'll make more picks next week. And I won't put any more pressure for Frozen Finals picks on you guys until the first week of March, which will be the playoff preview edition.
Ooh.
Beautiful.
Between now and then, we have a month to get to a point where we say, these are our picks.
Lock them in.
Lock them in. And
got it.
maybe we'll figure out some way to add bonus to our fantasy if our picks make it to Providence.
Ooh, that's good.
We'll go to Fantasy Commissioner Justin for how many picks?
Yes, Fantasy Commissioner Justin.
Love it.
All right, thanks guys. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you at the rink this weekend.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
guys. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.